Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going live at a different time, in a different time zone. So, why do relationships end? I've already done 2 parts to this in the last 2 days, so I thought I'd go part 3 because the question is a fairly large question with a lot of answers and a lot of subcategories. And it was asked from a former client of mine that I have a lot of respect for. And my original answer, which I mentioned in the 2 previous live streams, if you haven't seen them, is why do relationships end? The question should be, why did my relationship end first and foremost? Because you don't want to tackle some worldly, huge question like this when it doesn't apply to you. So what you want to do is get crystal clear on why the relationship ended for yours. And to do that, I would recommend that you write your story out, send it into writemac.com, or talk to another coach, or talk to a therapist or a close friend that's been through it before. But you need to get crystal clear on what happened in your situation. That being said, what's up, Mayritha? That being said, relationships end for different reasons, right? So, and the subcategories that I've already mentioned is growth blocking or growth blockage, which I'm probably going to use a different word for eventually. But basically, you and your partner are growing in different directions, or one partner is growing and you're stagnant or staying the same, or one partner is growing and the other person is actually in a minus growth pattern. They have no goals, they have no desires, they have no will, they have no hope. And the fact that you're growing really bothers them. Now, in those particular cases, sometimes people will stay with someone that's that bad just out of pity, worry, sadness. And there's some parts of that, but the growth blocking is a big one. Or 2 different people are just growing in completely different directions. Okay. The other thing that I mentioned yesterday as part 2 came on was that basically there's an identity change. And identity changes happen more and more now in the 21st century. And people change who they believe they are, and in doing so, they change their morals and values, and in doing that, they change their actions. And that's when you are with someone for a while and you kind of go, what happened to you? You changed, and I don't like to change. And this happens quite frequently with a move, with a job change, right? So identity changes generally happen more often when we're younger, in our teens, and all the way up into our 20s. They happen less frequently in your 40s, 50s, 60s. And let's think about this for a moment. How about when someone goes, oh, he's in a midlife crisis, or she's in a midlife crisis, and people are like, oh, the guy went out and bought a Harley Davidson, and he's never ridden a bike before. That's an identity change that he's attempting to make. And everyone's uncomfortable with it because they're going, John Johnson isn't a Harley Davidson driver. He's never done that in his life. And he's going, I've always wanted to do it. And then if he starts driving the Harley Davidson around, and what comes with the Harley Davidson? I don't know. Maybe he joins a biker crew, right? So this is how that works. Now today in part 3, excuse me for a moment. My eyes are bothering me a little bit, so could be the air conditioner. But part 3 is going to be actually a simpler concept. Why do relationships end? The long distance thing. People often ask me, oh, what's the most common thing you see? Or you probably see the same thing over and over again. And my response is every relationship's a little bit different. So the theme or overall problem in the breakup are probably similar, such as cheating or long distance, but the interpretation and the details that happened before the actual breakup are always different. That being said, why do relationships end? Distance, availability of contact with each other. And I think sometimes we're thinking about long distance being primarily someone living in another state, another country, living really, really far away. But I would add to this, someone living an hour away, someone living 2 hours away, because this is actually much more common now. And I've come across a lot of people where I'm like, why do you keep coming up with because I'll talk to someone in a live coaching session and they'll be talking about past relationships. And he's like, oh, she lived 3 hours away. Oh, this one lived 2. And I'm like, why don't you meet someone in your hometown or from work or anything? Well, with dating apps, the radius in meeting people has increased. And so what people are doing now is they're increasing their odds of meeting someone and making the pot a bit bigger by saying, oh, I'll date someone that lives 2 hours away or 3 hours drive away. It affects your relationship because there's people I've talked to that were like, oh, we've been together. It's rose petals and wine glasses. It's fucking great. We never fight. And you're like, oh, we see each other about once every 2 weeks for 3 years. Really? I don't know if that's great. I don't know if that's ideal, right? Because at the end of the day, cavemen, when humans first evolved, I don't think cavemen were like going like, hey, I'll be back in 3 weeks. And then, the little tribe or the little group of people that are, getting woolly mammoths and doing furs and helping each other are like, okay, no one will touch your wife while you're gone. No way. This isn't how humans evolved. So we can talk on text and FaceTime for 3 years and then see each other once a month. That long distance can work, but it has to have a finish line that eventually you live in the same city. Bottom line. Because what you're doing, even if long distance is working, at some point you're leaving the opportunity to your partner or yourself to have the security of having a partner through connection, which is nice. And what I mean by connection is you talk about work, you talk about family, you talk about your problems, you talk about love, you say nice things, you compliment each other. That's connection. Attraction. Maybe you see them on FaceTime, maybe they, take a shot of their shirt off or something like that. And you're like, woo, when we see each other in 2 weeks or 1 month or 1 year, it's going to be on, and you get excited about it and you have attraction level. And then you got the trust part where you're like, oh, you only live 2 hours away and I think I can trust you that you'll never meet someone else. Bottom line is, after a year or 2 years, if they meet someone local that they can go out to dinner with and have some human interaction with and get some intimacy, I mean, why wouldn't they prefer that? Because it's almost like they're accepting this subpar relationship that's lacking in a specific area of human touch, but they're getting the connection and they feel good because they can tell everyone, oh, I got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend, which makes them feel secure and happy. But then the minute they meet someone that's local, that's at their job, at their university or whatnot, they go, wow, this is really nice. We can see each other 5 or 6 days a week. Wouldn't that be preferred? Jamie Clark, what's up? This is exactly what happened to me. To me and you, coach, have helped me to become happy in my singleness. I thoroughly appreciate your advice, and I appreciate you making such a comment. Jamie Clark from Oregon or Nevada? I remember you're from Oregon or Nevada. You came on before. Thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. So yeah, when we go to why do relationships end, I would say one of the highest probabilities of a relationship ending is long distance. And people say the same thing. Oh, we were so great together. We were this. And I was okay with it. Yeah, well, they weren't. Right? I was okay with it. Right? Nevada, that was right. Actually seeing each other that often, especially in the beginning, was a problem to me. Okay. Well, here's the thing. There's a really great book called Mating in Captivity, and I forgot the lady's name. She is a New York City relationship therapist of some sort, but you can look up the book Mating in Captivity, which I think is a fucking great title. And one of the, when you read a book, or I listen to books on Audible more than I do read a book, I'll just be honest, maybe 90% of the time it's Audible. She talks about relationships that are long-term and people just getting sick of each other and being around each other too much. And it's monotony, it's boring, there's no mystery, there's no excitement, and it's a problem. And the minute you guys have a little bit of issues, and this is why some people break up to make up, whatnot, everyone has their own limits. But Justin, what I would say is if you didn't really have time to yourself, I would just question the fact if the partner you were with, were they a bit clingy? Were they needy? Because in relationships that I've gotten into, and I'll be honest, I've had breakups, I've had them end in a way that wasn't great, and I've only been in 4 serious relationships where that's my girlfriend, that's someone long term, and I've had breakups through those, and they've all been different situations. But I'll tell you what, the relationships were good, the girlfriends were good from the beginning, and one of the things I noticed when we hung out, for me, is I didn't feel like they were needy or clingy, and that's something that I filter for. And regardless of the attraction or connection, this is me. I've literally been told by friends, why did you stop dating her? I've talked about this before. I was dating a woman, highly attractive, late 20s. This was years back. I think she was 28, 29, and I was in my early 30s. She was a nurse, beautiful, sweet, really into me, and highly clingy and needy, like right off the get-go. Where are you? What are you doing right now? I want to hang out all the time and just huggy and this and that. And I eliminated it. And friends of mine were like, what happened with that? That wasn't cool with you? I was like, nope. Because the connection there was just, it was exhausting. And so it's what I would say, Justin Adams, and welcome. What I would say to that is that it wasn't necessarily that the relationship style was bad. It's the individual's not character, but personality, right? And if you hang out with someone in the beginning and they're really clingy and needy, just because, and this can change quite honestly after you sleep together. You sleep together once and it's like, oh, now the relationship went, because someone in their own morals and values treats that like we're almost married. And you're just like, whoa, shit. And someone else is going, wait a minute, like you didn't appreciate the fact that we hooked up. And you're like, I didn't think it was that big a deal that I need to be on call now, right? So this becomes a growing issue. And you just gotta filter for it, Justin, in future relationships where you're like, all right, the minute I see overly clingy or neediness, I'm just gonna say, you know what, even though the intimacy was good, even though I'm highly attracted to it, because this is the thing, I'll be honest, especially men, they'll overlook needy and clinginess, and I've known individuals like this, and then you hang out with them and you're like, wow, she's fucking annoying, but she's beautiful, right? Or she's great in bed, or she makes a lot of money. And it goes in the opposite direction for women also. You're sacrificing one area for another, but then when you are together for a long period of time, the area that you're sacrificing, you start to go, wow, this is getting worse and worse and worse. And you got to be aware of that. You got to be aware of that. So I'm going to talk about the long distance thing. I had a few things written out. Please keep the comments coming if you have any questions about this, because we're talking about why do relationships end? And this is snippets from the book I'm writing currently. And like I said, growth blocking or blocking of each other's growth, identity change in an individual, and now today I'm talking about the long distance thing. All long distance relationships have expiration dates. And those expiration dates are never known. The relationship just spoils at some point. Some get sick of a lack of human touch and connection. You need a finish line where you know you'll be together at some point. Part of having an intimate relationship is having intimacy. If you sacrifice low amount of affection and intimacy so that you can stay connected and tell each other about your day, eventually most relationships fail and they won't always be truthful. But the lack of intimacy is the biggest problem. So these are some examples. She left for a job she couldn't pass up. Translation, my career comes before the relationship. Bad timing. Number 2, a relative is ill. I need to move closer to them. Translation, timing and circumstances. Number 3, I don't have enough money to live here, so I have to go somewhere else to work. Translation, timing and circumstances. I don't have a visa for this country. I'm going to have to move. Translation, timing and circumstances. So why am I saying this? Because a lot of times out of the long distance relationship, someone takes it personal. Oh, you promised me you would never talk to someone else. Oh, we said we'd be together forever. No, there's situations, there's circumstances where people have to make fucking decisions. They have to make decisions for themselves and their betterment. And that's why they move. They move because they feel like it's a needed move in their life. They feel like it's going to improve them. And sometimes, especially people, what's up, Daniel? I'm well. Sometimes when people move, it's especially if you're in your early, mid-20s, late 20s, but not always. I mean, I have someone that I've done live coaching with numerous times. Actually, we did a once a week for 5 weeks, and this guy made serious gains. This should be a case study, actually. But anyways, because it was more after his breakup, it was more or less I was helping him out with his dating life. Anyhow, his relationship, they moved long distance, and a lot of times the long distance move, let's be honest, Judy Jack, it's over financials or it's over a job. Not always. Like I mentioned, sometimes I've had it before, a person's relative, most likely their parents or their grandparents, are ill, and they need to move. They need to make a decision that they're not going to regret. Like if something happened, knock on fucking wood, or knock on whatever this is. Recently, my father had a stroke. I was on a plane in a week, right? And I spent 3.5 weeks there. Done. Because I don't want to have any regrets. I want to be there for a family thing. And if I had to move back and I was in a serious relationship, I would think strongly and hardly about sacrificing that relationship for the fact that, one of my parents might go down, right? And then the other person's like, I can't believe they did that. Well, they're not you, right? Shit happens. Circumstances happen. And then you go, well, we can stay together. You can, but you are against the odds the longer you're in long distance. Does that make sense? So if you're together for 2 months in long distance compared to a year, the clock is ticking. And the idea is a lot of times with this, I had a client years back. The guy was from India, really cool dude. He's doing really well now. He was shattered. I don't use that word often. He was shattered. He wrote an incredibly detailed story about his feelings and whatnot. I wish I could go back and just find the exact video. Extremely thankful for my time at the time. And he's actually told me when he gets his first check, because right now he's in a master's program. He said, when I get my first check for my first week of work, I'm gonna donate it to you, coach, because he didn't have any money at the time, and I did a live coaching with him because I felt so much for him. But this guy, he was a foreign exchange student in England. Like I said, Indian descent. A real go-getter of a guy, really good grades, really well spoken, man. Really, I was just really impressed with his writing and everything. That's why I made some extra time for him. He was in a great relationship with this woman. They met through school. They hit it off. He was highly attracted to her. Like I said, she was from Russia. He was from India, but they were both in England. They had gone to I forgot what it was, something where they were in the same educational field. So they had a lot of things that lined up together. She came to India to visit. He took her around India. He visited Russia. It was rose petals and wine glasses times 10. The intimacy was fantastic. And then, he couldn't get a visa. She had to move back to Russia. He was doggy paddling around India as far as getting work. And basically, at some point, she was like, look, this isn't going to work, and I can't take it any longer. I don't like pleasuring myself, literally. And she was like, they were in their 20s. I think it was like early 20s to mid 20s. He's 23, 24 years old is what I'm remembering. And she was like, look, I can't take it without the intimacy, right? She's like, I'm having to pleasure myself, and I don't want to do that, and I miss that, and I just can't do it anymore. And he just erupted, called her for 2 weeks and said, I'll do this, I'll do that. But you know what the elephant in the room was? He couldn't get a visa to go over there. He couldn't get a job in Russia. He couldn't fix the problem. He couldn't put his hole in the dike, right? He couldn't stop the situation, right? So what is he going to do? It's long distance. The problem had gotten to a point where she was no longer going to deal with it. And she said, I'll deal with the pain of a breakup, I'll move forward. And she was very direct on the reason, and it was human touch and intimacy. And what is he going to, like I said, he can't move over there. He can't get a job in a day. But I'll tell you what he did do. He licked his wounds for a while. He talked to me. He unpacked it. And he said he looked at it in a whole different way. He was more understanding about it. And he got back on deck. And this fucking guy, I said, get focused, because one of your biggest problems right now is you're not making enough money. And I'm not judging you for that, but this is what affected your relationship because you can't travel over there. And you don't want to get to a point where you're making money for her, but this is just going to be a problem that's going to happen again. And he came back, and he's now in a master's program or a specialized program in Germany, fully paid scholarship, and absolutely loves it there. I rarely talk to him now, and he's always like, "Hi, coach, how are you?" Just a beautiful human being, good person. I'm so happy for him. But it was really hard on him. In the situation, if you ask me, the problem was very identifiable from the outside in as an objective party, right? The distance, lack of intimacy, done. Can I fix it? No. Timing, circumstances. Okay. So what do I do then? Accept that you can't fix it right now. Start working on the areas that are a problem for your life and will be a problem in your life in the future, because if you don't fix this now, any relationship you get into will have the same problem. I hear you, Coach Mac. I also flew to Germany when my mother fell ill. I'm so glad I was able to spend 1 week with her before she passed. Yeah, those are kinds of things. And the funny thing is, someone will go, "Oh, well, I don't think her mom's a very good influence on her. Or her dad's a very good," they're always manipulative. It's their fucking mom. It's their dad. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? Everyone, everyone's parents or family members have some vices or some things. And if your parents don't, more power to you. I'm happy for you, right? My father was a bad alcoholic for years, relapsed, different. I mean, the list goes on. I'm not going to get into it. But the thing is, I don't want you telling me about my parents and what's wrong with them, right? I don't want you saying those kinds of things about them. I know what's wrong with them. I know the faults. And someone will go, "Oh, they're going back to their mom, and their mom doesn't even care about them. They're always asking for money." It's their fucking mom, dude. You're not going to win in that one. I had a great LDR for 5 years with an Italian girl. She came 11 times to Mexico City, and I visited Italy 3 times. In 5 years, you saw her 14 times. Things went down after I gave her that engagement ring. She was 11 years younger than me. Erin Rodriguez. She was not sure about her feelings anymore. Well, okay, so you give her an engagement ring, changes the whole relationship. I'm wondering, and this, correct me if I'm wrong, did your long-distance relationship, and thank you for sharing. That's outstanding. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Jamie, you must watch my show, because I always say, that's outstanding. That's one of my favorite words. We do have favorite words sometimes, don't we, as individuals? Let me unpack this a little bit, Aaron. I'm glad you shed some light on this, and please share a little bit more. So, did your long distance relationship allow for freedom and flexibility to see other people, or not ask questions about what you're doing on your own time? Did you guys trust each other, but also at the same time allow a lot of flexibility in those 5 years? If you can answer that for me, because I'm wondering, once you gave her the engagement ring, the flexibility of having a long-distance relationship was lost. I'm just wondering, I'm not assuming, I'm asking, do you think she was being faithful the whole time? Like I said, this is just a question, because, like I said, it sounds like once the engagement ring was there, it went down after that, because she didn't want a committed relationship. She liked probably the flexibility and the openness of a long-distance relationship. But you tell me, because I've been in a couple long distance relationships, and the one that worked wasn't boyfriend girlfriend. It was more, I don't even want to say friends with benefits. It was, we were seeing each other, and we would see each other about once a month, but we wouldn't ask any questions about if we were seeing other people or anything like that. But we were talking. We probably talked on the phone every day or every other day. I don't remember, because this was years back. And then when I moved back, we turned into boyfriend, girlfriend quite easily, with no pressure and no strain. But during that time, it went really well, because we just both accepted the fact that we weren't around. She came every 3 months. At the end, I had that feeling that she was seeing someone else. There you go. If you knew her for 5 years, your intuition was probably right. And that's the problem with, if you're seeing someone that's a catch, you're leaving the door open. You're leaving the door open for a strong possibility that they meet someone else or you meet someone else and you go, wow, this is really nice that I can meet someone in my hometown, or I can meet someone that I could drive down and have dinner with them tonight, right? The fact that you lasted 5 years says something about you and her, and I'm happy for you, and I'm not saying it's impossible. But bottom line, like I said, it's going to have an expiration date. Now, here's what I think about LDRs compared to when you live together for 5 years. I think to pivot out of them, and people won't agree with this wholeheartedly, is probably easier. Because when you live with someone, it's different. There's a huge void in your bedroom, in your house. It's almost ghostly. It's really difficult. If you aren't seeing each other regularly, when you circle out of that, it's not quite as difficult in my book. She came every 3 months. So, Mac, why does thinking logically become difficult whenever you reconnect with your ex? She is not good for me and my mental health, but I feel like I miss her. Let me just be honest with you, Daniel. Are you still highly attracted to her physically? First question. We talked about me moving to Italy. I do listen. Well, thanks, Jamie. I could tell because that's outstanding. I personally wouldn't want to be in a long-distance relationship, Coach. I prefer meeting more often than that. Looking back, like I said, the 2 times that I've been in long-distance relationships, they weren't planned. It just happened that way. And the one that I was in that was with someone I really was into, and we had a really good relationship. It was I moved from timing and circumstances, and it was absolutely needed that I moved. Originally, I thought it was about a job, but it eventually turned into needing to help out some family with family issues, not money issues. And so I was in the right place at the right time looking back, but that affected our relationship. We actually broke up while we were long distance and got back together when I went back to visit and got reconnected. So going back to Daniel, though, Daniel was, like I said, if she's bad for you, but you're interested, could it be you want to hook up physically? Well, I do miss her physique. There you go. And you're in your early 20s. That's what it is, buddy. I still like her eyes as well, so I guess you can say physical attraction still present. Ding, 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 ding. Doesn't take a genius. Sorry, bud. When you're in your early, mid-20s, late 20s, that's paramount. That's great. You're sitting around. You don't have a girl with you. You don't have a girlfriend. It's Friday night, and you're going, yeah, she's a little goofy. Yeah, she's got some mental issues, I guess, but I would like to hook up with her right now. Let's be honest, Daniel. Right? She had beautiful eyes and a beautiful physique. That's a nice way to put it. Right? So that's what you're fighting. Not always, Mac, because when you're in an LDR, you get so good at giving them space in your head when they're not there that it can be harder. Okay. Fair enough, Judy Jack. You know me, I'm open to opinions, and I believe everyone's got a different one as far as breakups go. And so, okay. And that's just my opinion, because the time that I had the most trouble with a breakup, and the one that I always circle back to because that's when I could feel other people's pain, was someone I lived with. And it was just extremely difficult, like nothing else I felt for me. I feel there needs to be a decision made eventually on things are likely to deteriorate. Good take, Patricia. I cannot catch feelings for this girl again, Mac. Not for this girl. But you're saying they're creeping on you, right? Like you're fighting them because she reached out to you and you're still physically attracted to her. And you did meet up with her. You did give her some time, right? See, and if you don't have someone filling that physical attraction or intimacy void, then you're more susceptible to circle back to her on a weak moment. And if you do that, okay. I mean, just know what you're getting into. Because you said when you met up with her, she hasn't changed much, right? Damn, Daniel, it must be really late out there for you right now. What is it, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? Judy Jack, you also, what is it? It's late because it's 2:20 p.m. over here. I usually don't go on. I wouldn't want to hook up with her. LOL. 2:20 a.m. Okay. You seeing someone else, or you have someone else you're interested in that you have the equal or more physical attraction to? This is a good question, Daniel. My hardest to get over was an LDR. Too much fantasy, unmet potential, and unfinished business. Okay, as long as you have someone to fill that void, you're going to be fine. My hardest to get over. Okay. And after that LDR, Judy Jack, were you in a place or an environment where it was difficult to meet another guy? Oh, 11:20, not too bad. Because that's what I would say that. I know there's a whole thing about monkey branching and rebounding and all this other stuff, but if someone's going to come out of a relationship, especially an LDR, and they're at least in an environment where they get a lot of attention or they have a lot of options, then it becomes easier. It becomes easier. Thanks for the likes, folks. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if these couple of girls see that kind of attraction in me, though, well, to the point of a hookup. You want to unpack that a little bit? I would date this Friday with a personal trainer, coach. I'm excited. Well, I'm excited for you, Patricia. Is he going to be your personal trainer, or was he your personal trainer? So, Daniel, these girls, you're attracted to them, but you haven't been seeing them or dating them, or you haven't asked them out. Is that what you're telling me? And if so, why not? Oh, well, all the best, Patricia. Have fun. You are, Daniel, because you go on YouTube and you go on the web, so I'm sure you've combed the attraction sites to know if a woman's attracted to you or interested. Am I correct? I mean, maybe we can unpack this right now. Yes, I see them functions, always have a good time with these girls. But I mean, you're saying see that kind of attraction. I'm not sure if these couple of girls see that kind of attraction in me, though. So maybe Judy Jack, Patricia, Jamie Clark, Aaron, maybe you want to chime in on this if you're still on deck, bud. How does a woman show you that she's attracted to you? Nobody said we could train together. Well, that sounds like that's a great thing to do together because you're going to have endorphins and feel good. I didn't realize this when I was younger, that the cues of when a woman's attracted to you, because I used to have a low self-esteem or low confidence, like, does she even, oh, she doesn't like me, she's too pretty, or she's not, and someone would be like, she's into you, dude, you didn't notice that? No, not really, right? And I was never a low confidence person, just with women that, I wouldn't be able to see those signs. And so we're still talking on and off for years. Our initial connection was that he grew up in my city. He's actually the one I've never gotten over. Judy Jack, maybe we should do a live coaching session and unpack that fully. I don't know if there's anyone in my life that I've never gotten over, but there's one relationship that probably I circle back to. But I don't know if I wouldn't say I didn't get over them. It was so difficult. That's something you got to get unpacked, because it's going to affect you if you get in a new relationship, Judy Jack. But it was so difficult for me to move there. I do not regret this relationship because we traveled a lot. We shared so much good things. That's outstanding, Aaron. That's really cool that you can look at it that way. It was hard because her family loved me. Even our families met each other. Smile, eye contact, engaging conversation. Yeah. I know, and I really should not hook up with my ex, Max. She told me she caught something. Oh, God. Well, the fact that you're saying it 2 or 3 times means that you're fighting the urge to hook up with her. I shouldn't. So, for example, if someone goes in a conversation and you don't ask them, I would never go out with that guy. The fact that they say that, I would never date a guy like that. It means that they've thought about it before because you didn't even ask him the question. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whenever someone discloses information and declares without you asking them that they're against something or they don't like something, it's usually a sign that they actually do like that and they're trying to hide it. I'd never vote for Trump. I never even asked you about that. Okay. So Patricia says, Daniel, so these girls that you're not sure that they're attracted to, do they smile? Do they have eye contact? Are they engaging in a conversation? Do they do this with their hair? That's a big one, actually, right? That's in all the videos. Like a girl does this, right? Like Wayne's World. She does this or something with her hair or puts her hair back and shows her neck. The big one that I never had put so much value into before, but it's actually true, is when a girl hits you or taps you on the shoulder or when you're telling a joke and touches you. Now, she's not touching you intimately, but the fact that she's putting hands on you regularly means that she's probably attracted to you and feels really comfortable with you. So these little things. The other thing I would add is when you're in conversation, I'm an engaging conversationalist, I've been told. Are they engaging back with you? Are they asking about your family? Are they asking about your job? Are they just answering your questions and just talking about themselves ad nauseum? That conveys real interest when they ask those questions. I lost my father 2 years ago, and 3 days ago, my grandpa passed away. Fuck, man. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, bud. 3 days ago, huh? That just gave me chills, man. You're in Mexico City, Mr. Rodriguez? Well, my heart goes out to you, bud. I lost my grandpa a couple of years ago. It's tough. It's tough. It's part of life, but it's tough. I heard learn that life is a constant detachment from people you love and just let them go. Constant detachment from people. I don't know if I agree with that, but I know where you're coming from. Because constant means regularly. I like the fact that you let them go, that you're able to accept it. One thing that I'll say about, and I lost my sister a couple of years ago, I don't want to go into that stuff. You are able to, in my book, go back and have some conversations with those people that not necessarily they're going to answer you, but you know what they would say. Does that make sense? You know what they would tell you if you wanted to have a chat with them. And I've done that a couple times. And that helps, I guess. That helps. How, if she's attracted to you, she makes things easy for you. Thanks for giving that one, Judy Jack. I didn't mention that. In what way do you mean she makes things easy for you? Like she'll go out of her way to accommodate you. One other thing that Daniel, that I would say if someone's interested in you, they'll do nice things for you. They'll do thoughtful things for you. I don't think that's a friend way of doing things. I think that people that do thoughtful, nice things that are something they know you'd enjoy more than others, or they bring you a birthday cupcake or something like that. And I really should not hook up with my ex. Okay, you told me that. Yes, and vice versa, Judy, right? She laughs at everything a guy says and remembers the little details when she's interested. Not to the physical touches, though. Yes to all. Not to. Daniel, are you a joker? Do you joke around a lot? Are you playful? You seem like you would be. I don't even fucking know. Yeah, don't talk too much as a woman or man. Don't laugh too much either. What do you mean? Yeah, don't talk too much as a woman or man. Don't laugh too much either. What do you mean? Aaron Rodriguez, so sorry for your loss. And me too, man. Condolences to your family. Too much laughing seems silly, though. If someone's funny, if you find someone funny, Aaron, I'm so sorry you lost your dad and grandfather. But see, this is one of the things about my live stream. You get support here, bro. Aaron, have you been on before on one of the live streams? I'm not sure. Are you in Mexico City? Okay, so you joke a lot. So the reason I asked that, if you joke a lot, and I do, I don't know if I joke a lot on the show or not, but I consider myself humorous. And someone doesn't get your humor, then that can be a problem, right? And especially if you identify with the fact that you like to joke and play, they should be involved in that and they should be feeling the same. I'm a very extroverted person when the vibe is right. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've never been called an introvert in my life, so. What do you mean? What's up, Hippie Chick? I was just on a. This is crazy, Hippie Chick. I was just on a live stream of another YouTuber that I like, that I rarely watch his videos, but he was on and it said Hippie Chick's mom. Do you have a daughter that goes by that? I'm just curious. So the tag name for the live stream said Hippie Chick's mom in the thing, and I was like, no way. But I didn't ask, right? I was just briefly on this live stream for, like I said, another YouTuber that he talks about marketing and business, but actually when he does live streams and things like that, he's just a conversationalist and like a good storyteller. I just like his vibe. And so it's not true that it's their daughter. It said Hippie Chick's mom, but it didn't have the turtle symbol. It's crazy, huh? Anyways, like I said, this guy has some interesting topics. Daniel might be curious. I'll write his name down for Daniel. Might want to take a look. Like I said, his stuff's a lot about business and making money, but he does do some live streams on some interesting topics. He's a really smart guy. He's out of Atlanta. Isn't it really cool how many live streams are out there right now? And by the way, as I keep talking about it and not doing it, I just had a meeting with someone. We're going to do a live stream. She's 31 years old. She's from Canada. She's a friend of mine. I've known her for years. And we're going to do a little pilot, some kind of show like this, and talk about some different things. I don't know if I'm going to do a live stream with it or not yet, but we're going to cook something up because I think it would be really cool to get a female on. That's coming this next week, or at least the first trial or pilot, if you will. I'm excited about it. On a date, coach. I'm a very extrovert person when the vibe is right. I would say, Patricia, if you want to laugh and something's extremely funny, then let yourself laugh. She publicly acknowledges the guy on her social media. They're laughing all the time while on a date conveys nervousness. That's true. Balance is important. Laugh at what you think is funny, not because you're trying to be nice. I think people can tell when someone. Have you ever had someone like trying to be funny? The worst kind of humor is cliche humor. It's when someone goes, "Oh, that's what she said," and you're just like, "What?" Have you ever? I'm just like they're like canned lines that they've heard somewhere else, and then they redo them, and you're just like, it's like a secondhand embarrassment, right? My humor, one of the centers of my humor is impressions and charisma, I've been told. There's one girl that is really interested, and I can tell right off the bat. The thing is, I just can't take her out on a date to see where things go. We connect very well, and we vibe. Why can't you? Is it I can't or I won't? We connect very well, and we vibe greatly. So why can't you? Yes, that's wild. Great Dana Gopher. I like her a lot as a friend. Just can't with her. Why not, Dana? True coach, right? One thing I do when I'm not all that interested to discourage guy is to start calling him bro in messages. Okay. Something you've done before to convey that I look at you as a friend. She used to date one of my good friends for 5 years, and I broke up over a year ago. But because of the bro code, I can't do it. Okay. 5 years ago is a long time ago. A couple things you could do is you could actually ask your friend if it's okay with him. If you just know it won't be, then fine. I kind of follow the creed myself. If it was one of my friends' girlfriends, I would have a lot of trouble going there. 5 years later makes it extremely less poisonous to your friendship. But if that's your code and that's what you go by, that's honorable and admirable. It lasted for 5 years. They broke up over 1 year. Oh, okay. Okay, if they were together 5 years and it's only been a year, you're going to sacrifice a friend. That's going to be odd. And if you were really interested in doing it, you'd maybe want to talk to your friend, but deep down he wouldn't like it. Do what you think is right, Daniel. Maybe feel out with your buddy. 1 year is a good. If it's a really good friend, though, I don't know. I wouldn't. 5 years is a long time, and yeah, looking back, girlfriend I had for 5 years or 4 years, if it was a good friend of mine, I wouldn't openly probably like never talk to them again, but I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't respect it. But you have a right to. It's just your individual morals, and like I said, I think it's admirable that you have a line in the sand on that one. I think it's good. Well, this is nice. This was a little bit different time than usual. 45 minutes in, we got Daniel on. She's really cool, and we connect very well. Has she asked you out? Has she hinted that she wants to go out with you? Has she gotten a little bit aggressive? Because that's where it changes things too. If you have that good a connection, sometimes a woman could push the pendulum over and go, you know what? I just want to let you know I'm interested. Yes, she wants me to go bar hopping with her. The thing that I've noticed, you've mentioned 3 or 4 times, I can't get with her about your ex. So that just means that it's been on your mind quite a bit. And so you're fighting it. God, this room that I know isn't the greatest set, which I don't care about. It's got great light, though. This huge window that just overlooks other apartments, but the light just comes right in. And ask me why I haven't invited her to drink with my friends. Ha ha ha. Well, yeah. Well, a woman that wants to drink with you. What do you guys think about that, Judy, Jack, and Patricia? Windy Dawn, eye contact. She lets you get close to her, smiling. She listens to what you're actually saying. What a great thing that's overlooked, huh, Windy? She actually listens to what you're saying. Oh my goodness, it's so true, huh? I mean, the art of actually listening to people. I mean, the attention span of a lot of people these days is so low, right? A friend of mine was just saying they went out for Valentine's Day, and he said he was out with his girlfriend, and she was taking pictures for 5 or 10 minutes of the roses and the glass and posting it on her Facebook, and he was thinking, okay, we're doing that today. I didn't think this was going to be one of the things we did, but okay. And I was just thinking to myself, I haven't been with someone like that. I mean, I know people look at their phones more and more. That's a big one for me. Being a teacher for years, that's one of my biggest rules. Do not play on your phone in class, or I will have a problem. I will take your phone. If she wants to drink with you, she's open to things happening. Isn't that true? Isn't that so true, though, Judy Jack? I mean, it's been a year, Daniel, so you have a right. And if you're a good guy, your friend can overlook it. But if you're really close to that friend still, you got to be honest with treating this situation how you would want to be treated. Well, I mean, if she wants you, here's the thing, Daniel. There's a lot of dudes that would go, oh, fuck it, I'll hook up with her, right? You have a right to. They're not together any longer. But at what level are you friends? You know what I mean? If your friend hears about it, you know your friend's character, you know how he is, you know how the breakup went down. I don't even know how that went down. Zam jumps in. I think the bro code should be on. I think so too. For me, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Nope. And I've had friends before that are seeing one of my buddy's exes, and it makes me uncomfortable a little bit, and they're doing it on the under. This was years back when I was in my 20s and shit. And usually the friends that will do that, in my head, it's like, yeah, dude, because you don't believe in yourself that you can go out and meet someone. To me, it's a weak shortcut. His friends and family are really cool with me. And okay, so it's a deep friendship. Hell no. I will need to drink it. But you know what? Do what you want. I will need to drink this Friday. The guy I'm meeting first time is a personal trainer, very good looking. Said he's seeking a girlfriend. Wow, that's pretty upfront for the first. It always gets me when people in their first interaction, but I guess this is what happens with online dating, that you give a lot of information up front. It doesn't organically happen as much. It's like, just to let you know, I am looking for someone to marry. It's like this woman I was just talking to is like, I just told him after 6 months, I want marriage and a kids. I'm like, damn, you know, it's pressure, right? Trish is egging you on. Like, talk to your buddy about it then. Some guys won't. I disagree, Patricia, but the choice is yours. Yeah, Zam's right. The choice is yours. You gotta live by your own fucking code. Everyone wants to hold everyone else by their code, their rules, and their morals. Bottom line is, you don't need to go out there and be the moral police. I tell people that all the time about cheating. I'm not the moral police. You make your own fucking decisions. Bottom line, can you live with it? Don't go around being a spectator going, oh, this person did this, this, and this wrong. There's very few things that most people wholly agree are wrong. There's things like societies overall agree, don't steal, right? Yet people steal because they need to feed their kids, so they somehow validate it. Rape, everyone can agree, no way, right? Murder, everyone can agree, no way. These are things that universally, religion, subculture, culture-wise, country-wise, people are like, these are good rules to have. These are rules and laws that should not be broken. And like 95, 99% of the population is going to agree with that, right? But things like, dating your buddy's ex-girlfriend 1 year after the fact, that's a little different situation. On the flip side, if you're one of those people like myself that goes, you know what, a really good friend, a really good bro, I wouldn't want to sacrifice that to hook up with his ex-girl, then I'd value that. Friends first, coach. Have experience, but yeah, Daniel, do the right thing, but you have no regrets later, sweetie. Thank you, Patricia. If she becomes your ex and a brother of yours goes tabs it, how you feel? Personally, I just feel like you are complicating your life more than you need. Yeah, Zam, I agree. Well, it just depends on, here's another one. I always tell people this about love. What's your definition of love? What's your definition of being a good bro? What's your definition of being a good friend? Some people don't value friendships as high as others. Sometimes you think you're really close to someone and you see how they treat one of your other friends or talk about one of your other friends. You're like, oh shit, they're going to do the same thing to me at some point. I've had that experience a couple of years back where I was really good buddies with this guy, and I just constantly kept seeing this guy highly selfish, and eventually he would sabotage relationships from being selfish. And then eventually it happened with us as friends. I was just like, damn, this person's exhausting. Like that quote, don't judge me because you sin differently. That is a good quote. Coming up on an hour here, folks. This has been good, real good. It's nice to see 10 on deck. This is nice when we have a nice little group like this, nice little chat. Anyone have any questions? Closing questions? Zam, I think you've been on before. Or Azam, maybe I'm saying that wrong. Judy Jack, always a pleasure. Speaks to your character. That's true. You do things like that, and later on you're like, oh, I knew I should have done that. And you're kind of already telling yourself, right? Patricia, I want to wish you a lot of good luck and fun on your date. Just have a good time, low expectations. Doesn't have to be a girlfriend or boyfriend in the future. Just have a good time. Maybe you'll learn something about personal training. Azam. Okay, got it, buddy. Where you at in the world? Curious. You'll be fine either way. Daniel, you got a good head on your shoulders, bud. What I would circle back to, Daniel, is you mentioned that there was multiple girls that you were interested in, but you weren't sure attracted to you, and that's why I just reiterated. Oh, okay, Saudi Arabia, cool, man. You reiterated that you weren't sure, and that's why I mentioned earlier, like, look for the signs that a woman's attracted to you. Smiling, engaged in conversation, all those kinds of things. And so then don't fight it. Yes, that's just one of my girlfriends. Okay. You kind of always know you are getting yourself in trouble from the start if you just do a gut check. That's always true, man. It is. Well, especially as you get older and you have more life experience. I think you can put yourself in those positions more often. Guy seems great judging by comment. Well, the other thing about that, Azam, is that that gut check, even if you go against the gut check, it's going to create guilt. And then that guilt is what creates stress and headaches, and it creates anxiety. And so if you're feeling guilty about doing something already, that's probably going to grow. And guilt's a bad feeling, right? Well, good. I'm happy for you. Don't overthink it. Not my romantic relationship girlfriend, but friends that are girls. Friend girls, we'll call it, right? Which a lot of people tell me is impossible, but I don't agree. I think that you can have friends that are girls, but depending on the kind of person you are. Well, what I mean by that is that regret comes after doing something you feel guilty about. Because guys tend to rationalize their gut instincts. Sure, we rationalize everything. How about when women rationalize irrational behavior? Oh, shit. I witnessed that recently, and it was like, it's like, I won't even go into this topic, but it was just like, you're being irrational, highly emotional. This was about a legal thing. This wasn't about a breakup, but this individual, the way they were rationalizing the situation, I almost felt bad for them, because I was just like, this is silly. You created a narrative that has nothing to do with what you're trying to make sense of. My ex used to always get so mad, jealous for having a lot of friends that are girls. Now I have friends that are girls just as much as bro. It's especially if you're an extrovert. I think it's completely possible, and I've had friends that are women, good friends, over the years, and if that was to grow into something, okay, well then it doesn't disprove the fact that you can't be friends with women. It just says that, hey, we grow into something else, right? It is funny though, right? Rationalizing irrational thoughts or irrational behavior. It's just like I said. I thought of this one situation. I was just like in the middle of listening to this woman. I was like, so your first thought was irrational, and now you have rationalized it with an irrational story. I personally believe guys and girls can't be friends in the sense of deep friendships that can get along. I disagree, but that's for me personally. And the funny thing is, that's true for you, Azam. So, yeah, I've had deep friendships with women. Maybe that's the fact that I don't know, I'm close to my mom. Does that make a difference? I'm close to my dad too, and I've spent plenty of time with him and hunting and doing guy things and stuff like that. I don't know. I personally consider a let's be friends from a woman a form of rejection. Well, that you're talking about being friends after you want to go out with them. You're talking about being friends, I'm assuming, or you're talking about friends. It's culture as well. I agree. I was thinking that in my head too. It is culture, 100%. hmm And that doesn't mean it's wrong or right. It's just culture. It's just different morals and beliefs. Yeah, I'll roll with that, bud. The But like I said, it's if consider let's be friends from a woman a form of rejection. That, like I said, that would be if you had intentions of hooking up. But let me add this to this whole thing. In my experience of being friends with a woman, it never comes up like let's just be friends. It's just that it just becomes that way from work or our interactions. And I can be attracted to my friends that are women. And I can have thoughts of maybe we might hook up one day. And I won't be guilty about it. Does that make sense? Maybe we'll have a couple of drinks and hook up. But I won't, as long as I'm single, it's not a problem. But those aren't my intentions in the relationship. So everyone's different. But you're dead on about the culture thing. I agree. But yep, if there's any sexual interest, it is a rejection. Okay. And that's your personal belief. They can be friends as long as you don't want to sleep with them or have any strong impulse control. If you see here as one of the dudes, then you can be friends. And there's women like that, right? There's women that are like one of the guys in a lot of the ways they act and stuff. All right, I made it to an hour today. Thanks for the likes. I'm also handling rejection a lot better now. A couple of months ago, I was taking it in a harsh manner and kind of lowered my confidence. But then I realized, who am I? And I worked harder on myself. Sex is not what's most important, but it helps. It adds flavor to the entree for sure. You know? That's great that you're handling rejection a lot better. I mean, it's the people that are highly successful in life are usually really good at handling rejection. They neutralize it. They don't fight it. Just saw a really good video on YouTube about a guy saying, instead of when you're dealing with pain or a thought you want to get rid of, such as rejection or I'm too fat or whatever, he said instead of fighting it, neutralize it, accept it, roll through it, and then move forward. Instead of saying like, no, I'm not that, and fighting it, then you just give it more power. So if you said, oh, I was rejected, I can't believe she did that to me. It's okay, I shouldn't be rejected. Instead you go, yeah, she rejected me. She fucking rejected me. Nah, not the first time. Deal with it. It'll come in time, coach. And I thought, loud. I do believe it is. Everything else follows after. Well, not right away, darn it, coach. Everyone's different. So this is one of those things as Patricia, people put different values on the bedroom. People put different values on affection, different values on trust. And let's just add this one, financials. That's a big one. I mean, one of the biggest reasons people get married is to financially work together. So I like to get to know a person. Otherwise, it's just a hookup. The great Rollo Tomassi in the book, I'm not sure if you've read this one, Azam, The Rational Male. You might like this one, Azam, based on what you've mentioned. He says, as a man, if you're not going to get married, you should always want the ability to maneuver, which I love that way he phrases that. Keyword, me personally, in my opinion. It's important. It's important. I look back on women that became long-term relationships, and I can't remember one being like, oh, we still ended up together, and the sex was really bad in the beginning. Just meeting this guy on Friday. Okay. The ability to maneuver. If you're not going to get married, you want to have the ability to maneuver. You don't want to live with someone. Really good book, Azam, if you want to check that out. I suggest that to a lot of people just because it's a different perspective. And it's well written. All right, folks, I'm going to call it curtains for the day. It's been good. It's been grand. It's been great. Thanks for the feedback on this one. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate it. Curtains.